with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Unlearn the Crap TV is more than just a show. It's a movement towards breaking free from the disempowering structures designed to benefit the few at the expense of the many. It's about education, healing, and unlearning the detrimental beliefs that have been ingrained in society for generations. So now, please welcome the host of Unlearn the Crap TV, Kathy Baldwin.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Unlearn the Crap. Today we're going to unlearn mediocrity and we're going to unlearn the expectation that we're supposed to follow the shoulds, which takes us out of alignment. Today we're going to talk about how to get your sexy back with my guest, Eliane Han, who is one of those people that I immediately just gravitated to. The reason I love her topic and her talk title of Get Your Sexy Back is because we have equated sexy to romantic, intimate relationships. But do you know that we all contain sexual power? And that is part of the universal laws that we live within. We live within the universal law of feminine and masculine. And it is that juxtaposition, that energy between the masculine and the feminine that creates that sexual power. And that is a creative power. That is what sexual energy is all about, is creativity. And when we are aligned with ourselves and we are feeling so good, we are using that sexual power, that energy for our best selves, for our empowerment, for an amazing life. And so buckle up. Let's get our sexy back. Welcome to the conversation, Eliane.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for having me. I love this introduction so much. And I love it when you move, when you say sexy woman.
Well,
Yes.
isn't that what
Kind of
sexual
a
energy
move.
does? Is it moves us, doesn't it?
I love that. And it's absolutely true that the title applies to everybody. Don't lose that. Don't lose that inner power, that inner fire, that belly sexy, that drive that gives you energy and that comes from love. And yes, just standing in it. I came up with that title, Get Your Sexy Back, a long time ago because I, as a coach, happen to work so much with men as well. And, I would put those guys with their baseball cap and their cowboy boots back in their sexy when they would tell me, well, I don't feel it. I said, but you got it, right? We just have to dig a little deeper. So it's a little bit connected to our courage, our self-esteem, our feelings about ourselves. And it has nothing to do with being bossy as a woman or, just ordering people around. It's your inner power, putting our superwoman cape back on, right? That kind of stuff. In case we're
Absolutely.
talking about women. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love the fact that you've brought men into this conversation because so many times we as women think this is just our issue and that sexual mojo, but men feel it too because this is a universal energy. Can
Okay.
you explain what not having that sexual mojo, that feeling feels like in the clients that you've worked with?
It's a lot about not feeling valued and not feeling respected for both parties. And when we don't feel respected, it's not always about love, but I bring respect to the forefront there in a sense of when we lose respect for each other and we're just into that kind of almost settled relationship, maybe. Let's bring it into our intimate relationships, our close relationships with our partners, spouses, loved ones. In that setting, it might kind of settle a little bit to where we don't feel that mojo for ourselves or towards each other anymore. We let that easily slide by the dynamics of relationships over time, right? And so when we have that feeling and we don't really feel valued or respected or seen or heard because it kind of slips into our relationship as yeah, I've heard it all before kind of reaction patterns, then we might lose that. And we might lose that and try to find it. Sometimes that's why we need sometimes relationship talk or relationship coaching. We try to find it somewhere else, right? For
Yeah.
whatever that is, instead of having a good conversation and say, hey, I want you to feel that. What can I do for you so that I get that back, you get that back? So we get that close, intimate connection back to each other in a playful, laughterful way. I love to bring laughter in relationships because it's good if we make a little bit fun of each other so that we can kind of find that conversation back there, right? I love
Yeah.
it when you do this, or I love it when you do that, and just be silly about it because we lost it. So, in that sense, we all might lose it. In my clients and my patients in the past work with people, it happened a lot that because we lost that sense of self respect, because we didn't feel validated or we didn't feel seen or heard, that brought, in my case in the back, sometimes it brought people to addictive behaviors or isolation. Sometimes it brought them to stepping outside the boundaries of a relationship. Maybe, the after effects of just not feeling good in your own self and your own power brings all kind of alternates that are not so healthy for us, right? It might be unhealthy behavior patterns, that might be anything that we just don't see that it might slip in, that has to do with ourselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense. So, Ilian, how did you come to be working in such a raw and vulnerable place where we would find our sexy? Because we're talking root chakra. We're talking right in the pit of the depths of where all wounds are lay. How did you come about this?
And well, I started very young in my career. I have about 35 plus years of fitness and wellness career as a fitness pro. So it always started for me, any form of helping people, even on an emotional or mental level, started with exercise and started with posture correction. Especially, I got to bring this in because this is such a fun topic for now. It is so important to stand up straight, to correct our posture, and to present ourselves standing up straight, right? Because we tend to slump due to a very sedative society, a sedative lifestyle, sitting more, being behind the computer, and we go into this, right, into this closed off modus. So in the first place, I say always bring that physical aspect of sexy back, right? Who are you? Stand up straight, enter the world with a powerful presence. Ta-da, coming out of that door, right? That ta-da moment. Here I am. And that is very important. I think that posture correction slash physical being is very important for people, that presentation, that how do you present yourself and come out in the world, has a lot to do with feeling good and feeling strong. And then secondly, I think I got to work in this field so much because I went into coaching, life coaching, executive coaching, working with people on their mindset as well, because fitness at some point became wellness for me. Fitness at some point and movement and exercise became, oh, it does not only has to do with abs and with working out and doing, 20 jumping jacks a day. It has to do with our mindset behind it and how we feel emotionally and mentally about ourselves as well, how we react emotionally and mentally to the world. So just bringing more of a lifestyle to people. And of course, at some point, that became really important to me. At some point in my career, I worked with addiction recovery for a long time. People just kind of like let those bad habits enter their world because of feelings of insecurity, lacking courage, maybe just abuse, right? And so forth. And not even touching on bigger trauma affairs there, that we all have, of course, or
Yeah.
portion. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really how our
We
body
all yeah, we all
experience.
come to this world with our own traumas, and our brains are wired to make us feel good with those dopamine hits. And so that will have us still shrinking where we're not, because as you were talking about posture and physical, I was thinking about how today we're slumped over computers, we're slumped over our cell phones, and we're out of physical alignment with ourselves. So, how that energy moves between us, within us, doesn't allow for those traumas to heal. It
Right.
actually makes us constrict, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. We call that the life force that flows through your body in China, right? In exercises or movement, I should call that as Tai Chi, the flow of Qi, right? Flows through our body and has to be free and accessible to flow. It has to be accessible to flow. If we sit down in a very easy way to understand, if I just explain it for me or quickly, is we just sit and compress and compress and compress. Our spinal compression, our pain, right? We just push, 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 and everything just gets hurt, right? There is no room in between our spinal column to let that energy flow and let that life force, as we call it, flow. So, yes, that is not very helpful to our healing systems, inner works. It's not very healing for our chakras and for anything that we can allow to work in there. And if we just keep it pretty, to a pretty, to, visual level, it is just that we just go inwards instead of healing on the
Yeah.
inside and let it out. Yeah. So I just simply call that open your heart to the sky. That's where it all is. Right? Instead of looking down, because you go down if you look down all the time. And then literally, that could be falling for when we get older. That could be literally stumbling in life. And that could be literally, or it could be a metaphor for falling over the things that we still struggle with, right? Our little traumas, our big traumas. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. We all have them. We all have lots of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So many times we have been taught, and of course, the show is Unlearn the Crap. So I'm thinking we need to unlearn this. We're taught to, it's in the past, suppress it, let it go. It doesn't exist anymore. Don't pay any attention. Don't talk about it. If you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. And you're right, we end up tripping over this.
Yeah.
We cannot escape it, can we?
Yeah, we can't escape it. And it goes both ways. It's a circle. If we feel down or depressed, or we have anxiety, or we suffer from stress, or we suffer from trauma triggers coming back all the time, we are going down. We're going inwards. We're going down. We don't want to be seen. We don't want to talk about it. We like to hide it. So we trip over it. And then there it is again. Why am I not feeling good? Why are my negative thought patterns taking over? Why do I suffer from negative thinking or all these limiting beliefs, right? We just keep piling that on because we don't see a way out. And trauma triggers can be anywhere. They don't necessarily relate or have to relate to an event that we went through or a serious pain that we went through or an happening, relationships, anything that was done to us in the past by
Yeah.
people, by events, by happenings, right? By circumstances. But it could be as little as somebody yelling at us or noises that we hear outside or people talking to us in a negative way or in a belittling way, right? That kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. That all
Absolutely.
makes sense. That pretty much
Absolutely.
makes
I was just doing some research. It's one of the things I absolutely love to do is constantly research the newest information that's coming out. And they were talking about how our trauma responses
hmm
are come out, and they come out in things like oversharing, where we're just need to be seen and heard by somebody. And that is a trauma where it's not even that something bad happened. It's just that a need wasn't met, right?
Yeah, correct. Yes. There's a lot of trauma responses emotionally that you're and mentally that you're touching on, right? Just the need to be heard, the need to be seen, the need to attach, the need to have somebody all the time, the need to be with somebody, the need to change other people instead of looking at ourselves, the need to be dominant or controlling. It has
Mhm.
so many symptoms and side effects. We talk about the emotional effects there. There's also a lot of physical symptoms of trauma that we have gone through. And in a simple way, I cannot explain that if there was, for instance, sexual abuse in our past, or if there was physical abuse in our past or domestic abuse, then we talk about that. We might talk about it all the time. We might have talk therapy. We might go talk to doctors. We might have to go to a police officer and talk to him about what happened. But the slow trauma symptoms afterwards, 10, 20 years, decades in, can be just not being able to sleep,
Yeah.
or always having internal pain, or always having gastrointestinal problems, or always having back pain, where that settles in your body as well. So we do ourselves double, triple harm. Not being able to let it out mentally, emotionally, and physically is triple harm when we keep that all inside.
I absolutely love the fact that we're coming to a place where people are understanding
Yeah,
that we don't have to carry this. And
yeah,
because I had 40 years of fibromyalgia, and it was just here's antidepressants, here's painkillers, here's muscle relaxants, and it was all focusing in on my body's cries for help, that
yeah,
not being able to sleep, the fatigue. And so there are so many, like, we're now talking about sexual abuse,
yeah.
the Me Too, the abuse is coming out in all areas of our society, and it's not a shameful thing to admit and seek help and know that we don't have to keep carrying this. It can be released, right? And that's what
Yes.
you do with your clients, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So, because I'm trauma informed in that expertise area, that and I call it also transformation coaching, right? Because we want to come to that place that doesn't bother us anymore. We're talking lifetime value in a sense of yes, you want to work on that, but it's not just for 2 months, it's not just for 6 months or a year that I'm working with somebody. It is a lifetime transformation in a sense of just like you said, when you work through the symptoms and you work through the deeper layers underneath of what brought on those symptoms, then you never have to hopefully go to the doctor anymore, or you
Yeah.
never struggle, and never is a hard word to say, right? Because we don't like to make those promises, but you have done the work to where you understand in the moment what is going on. You become aware of the fact that, oops, I just got triggered, or somebody just said something to me that really, really hurts. Now you have that moment of stop in between to walk
Yeah.
around, take a breath, think about it, be aware of it, and then create a response that is not a reaction, but that is a response to what just happened. And then you have that managed. You have a
Yeah.
handle on it. You got control. You know when it happens. You know when you recognize when you see things being done to you or being brought up or being caused. And at that moment, you can take a deep breath and you can manage it. So I don't just recognize the symptoms or we dig a little bit in the underlying trauma layers, but I never stay there. I want you to start embracing that's what happened to you to where you can move through and move with it and then move forwards and recognize when it happens. And then just in
That
that sense, you have the toolbox and the skill box. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being able to work with our clients,
Yeah.
is being able to see that it is not a lifetime having to just keep talk about it and dealing with the same problems. That when you get to the root cause, it's like letting the balloon go, and the balloon is gone. You're never going to be able to pull that back in.
Yeah.
And while there might be more things bubbling up, that one's gone. It's done.
Yeah, it's done with. Yes. And I now can say that because these things happen to me, that's why I can now be in my authentic self. And so that I did the work so I can help others. I did a lot of that work for myself. So in that sense, I can help others because I recognize it and I can sympathize or empathize, with the fact that something happened to my clients. I can get in their skin and say, yeah, yeah, we can help this. We can do something about it. It is not always just a quick fix, definitely not. But if we are internally motivated to fix something that continuously comes up or keeps bothering us, then we will ultimately find a way that has long term value for life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I talk about in my book, Unlearn the Crap, how our power is in our choice and our decisions. But we don't have that power if we're in reaction mode, if our trauma is ruling our behaviors. And getting to that place where we can let that go, we now create a space like you were talking about, where we can take a pause, take a breath, gather ourselves back, and make conscious choices.
And that is not for everybody. Some people are not ready to go there. So we always have to meet people where they're at because it all happens, or all you say is so true, but it starts with the A word, right? We have to accept and acknowledge that we have a problem and be aware of it. And so if we're not aware and if we don't acknowledge the fact that we are stuck, then we are not yet maybe ready or willing to do a lot of work that comes after. If we embrace the fact that I say, yes, I always do this because it was always painful, it still hurts me, and I'm always irritated, I'm always angry about it. If we don't come to the fact that we acknowledge and accept and are aware of that first, then we cannot step to step number two and start finding solutions for that, right? So we have to do a little bit of digging. And I am very glad that you said, yes, we are now more of a society that is aware of that because we're coming to that mental health awareness. Well, why am I feeling like this all the time? Or why am I feeling like that all the time? Or why is this or that physically always hurting me? And why do I always feel that pain? Or why can I, just like you said, I cannot not ever sleep or never sleep? Not ever? Never. That moment of what is happening to me, the things that are happening to my body are always the same, not okay, and I do not want to go to the doctor for pain medication anymore, right? Or for I'm trying to get people away from medication. I'm not saying that I don't promote medication. Just a couple of weeks ago when I had a toothache or when I break a leg, but there's a lot of other stuff that we can do physically, emotionally, mentally to help ourselves once we start becoming aware of what we can do. And
Uh,
that is physically the same thing. I give you an example of how many people that were opioid addicted I worked with and that were constantly using those pills without really a reasonable effect or so, bringing a solution. They were just stuck with it. It became worse and worse and worse and more and more and more. And if we know that that back pain was there, but it was not even always the sciatic or always the back pain, but it was really just the fact, again, going to that spinal column, that we were stuck and having so much pressure internally and mentally and emotionally on that body that we just couldn't open up. With a couple of stretches, I could fix it. And I helped many, many, many clients in the past, just even physically looking at themselves and saying, wow, I can fix this. I was so afraid of making that move. But the afraid of making that move actually worked against me instead of doing that move, doing that stretch, opening up the body and being able to let it freely flow and find those pain
yeah.
points.
Yeah, so when we're living in pain and we're living in our traumas and we're living in the things that aren't working for us,
Yeah,
how on earth can we be expected to be walking around as sexy and powerful as we were born, what our birthright is?
yeah, yeah,
They say that the sexiest person is always someone who's in love. Well, they're being filled with all of that dopamine and everything. And when someone feels that way, when someone feels that power externally, I used in love only because it's a visual thing. You can see people go from feeling dejected and kind of hanging, and then they walk down the street and they're a magnet to everybody. They just bring everybody into them. And
yeah.
that's what you're talking about, right?
That's what I'm talking about, but that starts with yourself. And as women, especially, we have a big challenge there because we're not always in love with ourselves. And we're actually from a generation that was brought up not to go there, first be there for somebody else, do everything for everybody else. And yes, we do. And yes, we are multiple workers. We can do it all. We can wear all these hats. But sometimes we have to stop and just look at ourselves and say, hey, do I really like myself? And I'm not talking about going to the pedi or mani or, doing something to your hair. Of course, we want to look presentable, but whatever that is for you is how you feel sexy, is how you feel again about yourself. Do you respect yourself? Do you love yourself? Do you take very good care of yourself? And talking about that work-life balance that you touched on. Um, are you just excited about the things that you do? Are you just waking up with that? "Zzz, yes, I'm having a great day ahead. If it's 4 or 5 or 6 hours, right? I'm just
Yeah.
loving what I do. I just wake up with that energy. That work-life balance is almost non-issue anymore. We don't even have to.
Absolutely. And
We're
I
so
want to
connected.
continue. I want to continue on the positive of what happens when we go to that place, when we come back from commercial break. So use this time to subscribe to Unlearn the Crap, share the channel, make comments, and we will be right back right after this message.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
So, before our break, we were talking about life balance and what that looks like. But before we change into that, you brought up a topic that I think is really important that we discuss. And that is you talked about being ready. And so many times people are afraid of change, including change when it's going to add value to their life, because we've normalized. We've normalized pain. We've normalized not being empowered. We've normalized all of the traumas. How do you help somebody who's not ready yet? How do you help them get ready?
Well, if people are ready, they come. Because if they're not ready, then I can't help them either. People need to be willing to go on a journey with me. I call that, and explore and become creative. Both where we create just some kind of a new outcome. But we're taking that step, of course, that step we've had. That you are so right about the word change. The word change is intimidating to people. We don't like to change. We think it takes a lot of time. We think that change has to become us, that we are going to be completely different people, that we cannot be ourselves. Change is an intimidating word. I have changed the word change in my practice the last years, the last decade, into the word growth. So I completely replaced it with the word growth. And if I talk to people about, do you want to grow emotionally, mentally? Do you want to grow into maybe having a new mindset or a different mindset, a new mindset, not really, a different mindset about the things that you look at now that you are experiencing? Do you want to grow out of that pain? Do you want to grow into learning new things, new habits, with a new tool set and a skill set so that you can help yourself? I think that that is what always attracts people to not just working with me, but just to the words. I think the word grow is, again, if we want to learn and if we want to go into self development and self mastery and self development in a sense, or self exploring, then we are growing into an easier world. And I really think that life becomes easier. That's also one of the main topics of my book, that life does not become easier, but you get better at it. You
Yeah.
have a better mindset, tools, skill set to work life as it always is a challenge anyway, right? It is not becoming any easier, because just when I settle into my oh so happiness, then the next thing hits, right? And we all just go through that. If it's sorrow, grief, if it's pain, if it's worry, if it's stress about the kids, or whatever it is, we life is not necessarily becoming easier, but you become a lot better at it. And that's one of the main
Well, yeah,
things I take
because
away.
because it's very much like the struggles we had learning to read and write in grade one.
Yeah,
Those are no longer struggles because we have grown past that,
yeah,
and we are no longer operating with those level of problems. We have outgrown it. And I love the fact that you talked about change is not necessarily bad if we
yeah,
which that's why I use the word unlearn, because
yeah,
we've learned helplessness, we've learned disempowerment, we've learned all of these disconnections that keep us away from our power. And change, well, there's nothing we can do about change. I was just doing some research, and we have in the last 100 years gone from horse and buggy to driverless cars,
yeah,
or
yeah,
self-driving cars.
yeah,
We've had cell phones and computers and satellite dishes and MRIs, and everything is changing. We are never going back to the way it was. We're never going back to who we used to be, because every moment that we live, we change, we
yeah.
evolve, we
Yeah.
grow, right?
It's an evolution indeed. We cannot we can not ignore that everything is constantly flowing into an evolution. Something around us is constantly changing. So in that word, if you're not willing to go with that flow and grow again, so I replace the word changes for flow and grow with it, it's a lot easier not to feel that resistance. If we are resistant to it and we want to go back to what was, then I say simply to my client, how did that work for you? Because obviously it didn't, right? To go back to Dr. Phil's statements, how, how's that working for you? Well, obviously it is not working for you. It is throwing you into the same system all the time. And if you don't want to work on that, and
Yeah.
see it for what it is, then you are just constantly going back to what I called in my book as well, being stuck in a whole bunch of expectations, a whole circle of expectations around you that you try to live up to. So we try to live up to the expectations of our parents, then we try to live up to the expectations of what the perfect family life is supposed to be, right? The picture on the
Yeah.
mantle. Yeah, the 3-2 home with the backyard and front yard and everybody happy on the stereo lane. It does not work that way, but we have attached ourselves to those expectations, not just to please other people around us and to please ourselves, but to put those high expectations on ourselves as well, right? And to be that
Yeah.
people pleaser and to stick into that expectation frame is not really healthy either. But we have to see, it's not necessarily bad to do something for some other people. And if it's a nice trade at work, I do this and you pay me for that, that's great. But if it goes against of how we were really made and what we feel, and we're constantly coming home into stress mode or into burnout or into, something that we are holding ourselves back from and we don't want to work on it, then that's going to be ultimately, again, turn into physical illness and sickness and all the above. Yeah. Yeah.
And I love the way you were talking about resistance, because resistance is information.
Mhm.
That is information from ourselves saying we can't go forward because there's something here that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And so if you were the way I like to use cars as an analogy for everything that I'm doing when I'm working with my clients. So it would be like trying to drive through a boulder. Well, you can't pretend the boulder's not there, and you can't wish the boulder would move or get angry that the boulder's in your way. You got to deal with it. And that resistance is saying there's something here we need to look at, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it a blown tire or is it three tires out, right? You just can't go forward. You can't move. There's something that keeps us stuck. And I use the word stuck a lot when people come to me because, especially women I work with in our midlife, we do have a better frame of reference, of course, understanding the past. And we are stuck because we might lose that perfect picture on the mantle. We might lose it wisteria lane feel. We might all of a sudden see ourselves being empty nesters. We might be really in pain because we are starting to realize that we're not really happy at the work we are doing. It's not really our passion. It's not really what we need to be. And that's understandable if we did that for 20 years because we wanted to feed the family. And that is really wonderful. But we have more time, more deliberate willingness to look at ourselves and say, where are we at? Why can we not live with passion and in our purpose? And that's a really big one. And I think it hits midlife women, midlife gentlemen as well, more than when we were younger because we don't have time. We don't have the time, and we don't have the frame of reference to say, yeah. If I do this, I know it's a bad choice.
Yeah, yes, I totally agree with you, but I think it's more than that. I think that our society is changing, and those structures that we were taught, that business looked like this, and this was how you got successful, and these were the education you needed. And those systems are changing. And so, as our workplace is changing and our systems are changing, we're now realizing that we may want something different.
Yeah.
And I believe COVID was a massive reset button because it gave everybody the pause
Yeah.
to step out of that routine and step out of the expectations, and everything got shaken up. And
Yeah.
so many people are waking up right now, and we're all feeling the calling to move to the next level of our own journey.
I agree. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
completely agree. It was a big V8 moment. Pew. Yes. Things
Yeah. Yeah.
unlearn. Absolutely. Yes.
Unlearn.
Unlearn what we have
Okay.
learned. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. It's unlearning family systems, unlearning what we should do, unlearning where we need to be, all that stuff that was in the past. I agree. I agree with you. Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
So we're going to continue this conversation, and we're going to talk when we come back about what it looks and feels like to get your sexy back. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh, that was a tough one for me to get out of my mouth. And we will be right back after this commercial break.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. You know, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
So I was watching this documentary the other day, and it was amazing because it was about the Blue Angels. And for those who don't know, the Blue Angels are a squadron of pilots that do the stunt pilot work. And they have to work in a team of 6 where they go into unison, and they end up flying like 12 inches apart from each other at 400 miles an hour up in the sky doing these tricks. And so I always knew that athletes and people in their prime, in the zone, they're going through the visualization of what it looks like. But these Blue Angels, they were sitting at a desk, and they had their hands pretend on a joystick of the steering. And so as they were going through the moves, they were jerking and moving and everything. So they were getting that muscle memory. And so I want to play with that idea because visualization, our brains don't know when we think about something whether it's true in our physical world or not. Our brains just believe everything we give them. And that's why we get scared when we have a fearful thought, or we get angry when we have an angry thought, or whatever. So let's talk and create a vision about what life looks like when we're walking around in our power and we got our sexy back.
Absolutely. And I love it that you bring that up because creating a vision is one of the most important things in my practice of what I do with clients. It is so powerful. It is so powerfully proven with all the coaches that I talk to and all the coaches that I, mastermind with and so forth. Creating a vision has very much to do with the law of attraction, with feeling, not just seeing and creating that vision board, but feeling it as well that you're there. And what does that mean and look like? You ask me, that creates powerful vision for me to walk out of the door, smell the roses, put on that attitude of gratitude first thing in the morning, right? Girls up as I talk it, as I call it. And that means also for men that I work with, right? Girls up, that powerful feeling of yes, thank you, higher power, what that means to you. Thank you, universe. Thank you, source. I am here, I'm alive, and I have a gift, right? Everybody has their unique gift. So step into that unique gifts. What makes you so special? And this is very important, that you're being that rebel, that you don't take things personally, that you don't try to be like everybody else, but that you understand that you have that gift for yourself to bring that today. And if that is just making people laugh around you, or making people feel the joy around you, or bringing something that day to the school where you teach, or bringing something that day to the office where people love to see you, be that little sunshine, be that authentic self. Let go of that past and these feelings of guilt and shame that were just holding you back, right? Very important to work through that and just to stand into that. Walk and step every day into the world, being really, really super confident and being really super happy with who you are. And it has nothing to do with stepping into arrogance or stepping into, you know, overly zealous person and terrible. Just be there, right? Just be there. Just step into good feeling about yourself. That's what it means for me. And whatever you're going to do that day, just know that you're going to contribute. Know that you have a gift, and that is the purpose of life. Really, is to give that gift away. Whatever you do good, whatever that is. I want people to feel and to see that they can just be that person that can step into that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I love that because when we are in that place, we know it feels good.
Yeah.
We know that we're drawing people to us. We know that life is easier and we're in flow and we're letting go of the struggle and the strife. And so it's that uh, I love your words, get the sexy back. You can tell that I just get right into this whole
Yeah.
visual that
Yeah.
we are sauntering through life. We're gliding. And so this is an amazing opportunity for people to actually get their sexy back. Could you tell people how they can reach out and connect with you and possibly work with you if they're interested?
Absolutely. And thank you, Kathy, for this opportunity and this conversation today. I'm really easy to find, elianhaan.net, www.elianhaan.net. That's my website, and there is a link to making a free conversation with me and getting a free coaching session for an hour. There's a link there. I also have a free gift today that is freegift.elianhaan.net. You can find anxiety tips there, tips for anxiety and stress that will help you along the way a little bit. Definitely at the moment, I think we need that a lot at this moment in our society. And we need it also around the holiday season, right? Around the seasonal stress. So we need some tips for anxiety. They're there. That is my free gift to you. And please take on a free conversation with me. You can find me, elianhaan.net.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for bringing your sexy to our platform with Unlearn the Crap. Yes, you go, girl. And for those of you who align with Elian, because we all align to different people and different messages, I encourage you to reach out and talk to her and see if she can help you, because we are all here to bring our best. And we're here in a collaborative opportunity where, whether you are working with me to unlearn your crap or Ilion to get your sexy back, you deserve it. And the world is never, ever going to go back to the way it was. We must seize this opportunity, or the speed of change that is coming is going to bowl you over. But the opportunity for you to step into your sexy, step into your power, unlearn the crap that is keeping you disconnected from yourself, there has never been a more important time than right now. And we are all here. The whole point of Unlearn the Crap TV is bringing you the resources, because where I am the right person for some of you, Ilion is the perfect person for others. And what you need is there for you. And so I encourage you to share this program, comment, and subscribe, because it is that energy that you are putting in, that you're sharing into your own community, that is bringing the sexy, the energy to your world, to the people that you touch. And that very essence of putting that intention out there changes the world, and it changes you. And those acts of intentionality, those acts of making a conscious choice and challenging the things that are getting in your way, all of that is available to make your life better so that you can bring your gifts to the world. Continue coming back to Unlearn the Crap. I have some really exciting things that I have planned to get us ready to clean out 2024 and start as fresh and wonderful for 2025. So be on the lookout. Come to kathybaldwin.me, my website, unlearnthecrap.com, where I have resources as well to share with you. I wish you all the best. Have an amazing day. And don't forget to challenge everything so you can achieve anything. Until next time.
This has been Unlearn the Crap TV with your host, Kathy Baldwin. Tune in each week as Kathy challenges you to rethink everything you know about personal empowerment and societal structures. Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.